We've all heard our fair share of roommate disaster stories, which can make the decision to hunt for a good roommate enough to make your palms sweat. Though genuinely exciting, the transition between high school and college living can hold its own set of worry and uncertainty. Who you will live with during this set amount of time doesn't have to add to your stress if you don't have to. During this speech, I will provide tips on what qualities are important to look for in a future roommate in order to proactively ensure that you are matched with the best person available. I will demonstrate how to go about this selection process by highlighting important things to pay attention to in order to deduce your prospects. Whether you're attending a school with a few familiar faces of those you've known prior, or starting fresh as a stranger to most on campus, you must first begin by weighing the pros and cons of a living situation with either party. If considering to decide to live with a friend you've known for a while, you must start by separating how you feel about them as a person from their living habits, as if you have no connection to them. Living with your buddies, if you've never done so before, means that you run the risk of not being comparable as roommates, which can place a lot of stress on your relationship. Take their quirks and traits that you deem unfavorable into consideration, and steer clear of trying to convince yourself that those traits will be any less annoying once you move in together. However, in that same breath, housing with friends can be ideal because it negates having to search through virtual strangers hoping that anyone you come across is compatible enough so that your living situation is mutually comfortable. However, should you not be afforded the opportunity or choice to have your roommate double as a comrade prior to move-in, don't fret. Living with someone you don't know allows you to approach the situation with an open mind and few expectations. This clean slate can be beneficial so that you don't go into it having an expectation of what you thought they'd be like. Plus, if things don't work out, at least you haven't soiled a great friendship. In contrast, knowing so little about a person, yet deciding to live together, holds its own set of problems. Perhaps you won't mesh well with their personality. Maybe you won't like their friends. Maybe they'll keep the common areas in too much of disarray, etc. Now that we've examined the benefits and shortcomings of both options for potential roommates, let's take a look at how to narrow down your list of prospects. Regardless of the relationship, or lack thereof, you have with those you're considering cohabitating with, there are many important aspects of living that must be reviewed, and I'll name a few. 1, discuss fees early on. This establishes good rapport between you and your roommates because everyone involved is aware of their financial responsibilities early on. 2, establish what you expect from a roommate and find someone who's able to contribute. According to an article posted by apartments.com on January 18th, 2019, it isn't uncommon for people to become resentful of their roommates if they feel as if they aren't contributing their fair share to household chores. Make sure to talk about certain things like how clean you wish to keep your living areas, whether or not the grocery bill will be split or if individual shopping will be done, etc. 3, have written documentation of everything. Signing a form of sublease agreement will negate having to rely on trust or word of mouth in instances where someone can't pay their share of the rent, major property damages caused, etc. should these problems arise, and provides legal protection for all involved. 4, ask the tough questions. Though seemingly intrusive, questions concerning lifestyle are critical to learning compatibility. How often and how loudly do you like to play your music? Do you like to host guests often? Are you a drug user or a smoker? How's your credit? What's your work schedule like? Are you opposed to sharing common toiletries? All these questions can save you loads of grief in the long run. In conclusion, choosing a roommate can be both tedious and overwhelming, but carefully combing through those who you're interested in living with is critical to ensuring that you're as comfortable as possible in your own space. Hopefully through my speech, you've been able to gain helpful tips and things to look out for and will be able to apply them the next time you're in a position to look for a new roommate. Perhaps based off of what I've said, you feel like it's time for a switch. And if that's the case, good luck and happy hunting.